A disclaimer, as you can read, that I've already stated at 3:27, that what you're about to see may look very strange to you at first, but I assure you there is a method to my madness here. So what you can see is a bunch of timers, a bunch of time stamps, and even perhaps an absolute time, whether or not that's a real absolute time reflective of today is completely you're unable to determine that from this information. You have no information about the external world from this video, but apparently my iPad is reporting it's 5:05 on Thursday, August 22nd. You are seeing that I've been recording this transcript for 6 minutes and 13 seconds. That too could also be a lie, although I have no incentive to do that. And then you have down below here, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 timers running on 5 separate iOS devices. So we have this timer, we have this timer. Actually, I'll use a little pencil. This timer, this timer, this timer, this timer, and right there, you have that little timer there. But I wish this was a laser pointer, not a pencil. Anyway, so you have a bunch of timers, and some of these timers have laps. In fact, all of them do. We'll check out the Apple Watch. We're on lap 3 at 8,011 hours, 31 minutes. Sorry. We are at, I don't really know how to read that. Is it 8,011 hours, 31? Yeah, 31 minutes. Is that days? Holy cow. Let's see what's about to happen here. You can't see this, but I've also been recording this particular screen recording for 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Anyway, I can't really tell what is going on there. Maybe that's the third lap. It's unclear. Does scrolling help? Not really. 8, 5, 9, 5, 35, 21. I would think this is lap 4, I guess, then. Let's make a new lap. And that was 14 hours and 7 minutes. Yeah, so the first one's... Okay, so the lap is recorded. Let's get that in focus. The lap is recorded and saved as hours, minutes, seconds. And the overall stopwatch has been going for 8,595 hours, 35 minutes, and 56 seconds. And right now it's 5:08, which also reflects this time too. But that doesn't still really tell you anything. This does tell you something, though. Oh, there's my location. But is that my real location? Is that the real date? Again, we've got more UI that indicates some state about the current world, which is interesting. Oh, yeah, and there's my timer. Look at the stopwatch. There's some milliseconds now. Which is cool. We can even click in and go see that. You're not going to see the milliseconds view in here, ironically. But you actually see more detail from the at-a-glance view. Anyway, you also see what looks... I keep crashing the camera app or something, or I'm triggering it to go home. Don't really know how. You also see a little thing that can record a voice note. In fact, I'll go do that. Just start recording. I've got recording 8, which I had yesterday. And I'll start recording or recording now. And then my voice is there, and my voice is always here. Okay, and then back to this. Now we've got more timers going. Not only do we have that voice note going there, but we still have the stopwatch going, so we'll put the stopwatch back on. Okay. So my whole reason for recording this is to continue to brainstorm about an idea I have that all of these timers, if we set up the proper software to unite them and link them up and make it so that you're reporting your time elapsed in a cryptographically secure way, and the keys that you're using to cryptographically secure those reports are derived from the timers themselves, then we have this kind of recursive proof that you're the only one that could, turns out, own all of these timers. And I've got some other videos in this playlist of, what do I call it? Let's see. Playlist. Content. Playlist. And so right now I'm not really worried about whether or not you can identify me, because this is just a demo and proof of concept. But here's the playlist I was talking about here. Going back to the camera here. Yeah, so all these timers, I'm thinking I'll bring this back in, can be used to form the foundation of an anonymous proof of consciousness. So notice that I'm interacting with these devices in the real world. Here's my hand. Here I'm blocking the camera. Now the words are revealed. So the reason I think linking time and this transcript here, which you can see is 12:10, and again, I come back. The time is still 5:11, August 22nd. For a long time, I've been not concerned with, but very aware of the fact that soon computers will be able to produce videos and images that are indistinguishable from those recorded from real devices. So that's going to be excellent, just like all advances in technology are excellent, but it also poses a risk of all of the kinds of things that a computer being able to lie about what happened in the real world via a video being spread in real time via Twitter or Facebook or whatever platform. And the platforms are completely irrelevant, but it's just the idea of virality. It's so funny that in the real world, virality is so feared, but then there's clout to be earned from virality online. It's just such a silly thing. So, my thinking here is that look at all these timers and all the laps. There's a whole bunch of unique numbers that identify me. Nobody else is going to own these numbers or be aware of these numbers, except some kind of online digital encrypted blockchain type thing. And additionally, this video is something that you cannot fake. I can speak and then tell you I'm going to do something. For example, I'm going to say I'm going to pause speaking until 14:09. And then I resume speaking. This is something that a large language model or an artificial intelligence would have to be able to predict and plan its own behavior. I'm going to leave the watch off right there. I'm going to stop turning the screen on because it's kind of obnoxious. Oops. And so I'll move these over. And so the point is to be able to distinguish exactly from where a piece of content was created or uploaded from. And what device was that? Who owns that device? What else has the person that owns the device that posted some content that you're currently looking at, what else have they posted? What else have they created? What else have they said? And now this may seem a little heavy-handed, and even telling my wife about it, she said, nobody's going to want to start timers. Of course, this is all going to be done under the hood of some convenient to use platform for publishing your thoughts and opinions and whatnot. But what I want to do here is justify that all of these numbers are going to be impossible to fake. The video will be very easy to verify that it's real. And we could do so in real time even. I've got a notification there that my robot started. Did my robot really start? I don't know. Do you trust the software? Do you trust the video? What do you trust? Why do you trust it? Again, keep in mind that I could just change the clock. 5:15. Those don't even show a time. In fact, let me get those to show a time real quick. One second. Okay. So now those all show a time as well. Can't really read it. The screen kind of sucks. But you can make it out. 5:16. 5:16. 5:16. Oh yeah, I need to go into video mode. 5:16. 5:16. 5:16. 5:16. So all of these devices show the same time. So do we assume trust through consistency? Is that why we assume that we can trust the time that's displayed here? And if we have consistency over time, does that develop more trust? I would say yes. So all this is to say that I believe we could develop a protocol through which one can derive an initial Genesis public key for their identity. I don't think they have to keep that. I think that could be discardable. That would be ideal because you don't want to have to keep the original thing. You want to be able to derive any important information from the downstream information, which I think we could probably figure out how to do. But let's imagine you have to go into an online store and you have to buy a ticket to start a timer. These are just using iPhone's clock app and the iOS clock app and setting a stopwatch. But let's imagine we build our own stopwatch and you have to buy a ticket to start the stopwatch. The deal is, though, once you buy a ticket to start the stopwatch, you can use the ticket and start a stopwatch, or you can hold on to the ticket and you can maybe sell it to somebody later if they want to start another stopwatch. I guess we could also call it an up counter. It's not really a stopwatch. It's a funny name, stopwatch. What does that really mean? Why is it called a stopwatch? And so in order to participate in this theoretical network, you would have to have at least one stopwatch running. In order to have one stopwatch running, you would have to have had purchased a ticket at some point and downloaded and installed the stopwatch application on your device of choice. Right now, I just have iOS devices running the clock app, but we could imagine a completely universal software binary that would run on anything that runs software. And your duty would be to, this is the prototype approach. Your duty would be to record a video like this, optionally with recorded transcript of your voice. And you might have to respond to someone in the network who is older than you to prove that you're not an AI, or you'd have to, at the very least, prove that you're an AI that can respond in real time to generate live video that's responsive to arbitrary commands. For example, we could say, make a lap on the device that is the shortest timer. I would say, okay, well, shit, I gotta find my shortest timer. It's 16 hours, 13 minutes. I got 1692 hours, 86 hours, 4,659 hours. It's this one. It's this one. So I'm gonna go hit lap here, and I'm like, okay, I'll lap that. And so I've got all the text and everything right here of the participation, all the events that occurred could be aggregated, kind of like a Twitch chat, and you could verify that, well, either that is an AI that can simulate reality in real time and generate video in real time to do so, or this is a real person. Those are the two options. There's nothing else. Additionally, what we've proved is that this person owns these devices because I'm in possession of them at the time, and so this is to kind of avoid things like click farms, and just look up click farms if you don't know what they are. But it's to promote authenticity and to say, no, I really own these devices, and so anything I publish from this within this network, which we could also publish any kind of data outside this network, but we'd have to ensure that the data that we publish could be tagged with our identity. Because of course, regardless of where you publish something, someone can always take that from that platform, network, whatever, and publish it somewhere else. That's not what we're concerned with. That is a problem of the past. This identity approach here actually has implications in revolutionizing copyright as well, because now that we have our identity tied to our publications in a way that involves a financial incentive for verifying our identities, we have a money flow, and we have established a network and a marketplace. And so we can say, well, let's figure out how to incentivize other people joining this network and sharing content in a way that, of course, doesn't violate the law of within reason. And then when the law becomes unreasonable, you do what the powerful companies do, and you just lobby the government. Except we lobby the government with our treasuries, and we lobby the government for ethical purposes. Not for our own gain, but to say that, well, we don't like XYZ rule, and here's why. Let's break it down, and we can develop a process for algorithmically reaching some kind of group consensus for these ethical behaviors. And furthermore, we can do so in a way with verified individuals on this network. And so we essentially create a digital, anonymous, cryptographically secure identification token that actually identifies the devices we own as well. And let's say, let's say I get rid of one of these devices. Well, the timer's gone. Because in order to start a new timer, I have to have bought a ticket. And so if I get rid of the device, it has to mean, well, I no longer want to count that timer in my stash. And so maybe I might start collecting old devices or something like that. And then we could kind of encourage a behavior where I don't know, you'd still have to record videos of these things. So, if I had 30 devices right here, is that super reasonable? Like, not really. Maybe you have to say they all have to be in one shot. You have to be able to read all of the timers from one shot, something like that. Again, there's ways to address every single concern. Every time someone hears an idea that's out of the box, they think, oh, that's not going to work because all of the ideas. And that's the job of the common people, is to think of, oh, here's all the reasons why this won't work. They refuse to, in my experience, collaborate and take the idea to a higher place. They will say, this is not going to work because of all these reasons. And they're right if you don't do it. So anyway, Let's say I get rid of this device. I will no longer have the timer that's running on it. I won't be able to transfer a timer. I will be cryptographically and securely stored on that particular device. And so when it's wiped, I lose that money. And if I don't report that I'm transferring that device's possession to some other conscious individual, then the next time I'm called upon to verify my identity and don't produce that device, which you can't really tell what that device is. You can tell it's an iPhone, but you can't tell which iPhone in the dark here. But that's irrelevant. And that's kind of the point of this security and anonymity. You can't tell. In fact, I'm going to do a magic trick. Where's that device now? Well, it clearly moved to the right side of the screen. You don't care what the device is. You just care that you can identify the device, and that's my point here. So what this does is this sets up an incentive chain to report possession and ownership of digital devices. Sound familiar? Sound like a title or a deed, perhaps? Now, of course, this would involve interacting with physical entities like houses, and that is yet to be determined. But you have to think of solving these problems in the kind of style of, oh yeah, look, I'm also still recording this on my watch. That's funny. So let me go ahead and stop this recording on my watch. Stop this recording on my watch. And then look, it's going to go to my phone, which is going to be super cool. So that is recording 9, and that was that may go to my iPad, but I doubt it. The screenshot. Recording 9 was 5:09, 17 minutes and 34 seconds. Again, these things are all things that you can verify in real time are happening, and they're not super exciting, but the fact is we can verify all these things, and the exciting part is what we can derive. The exciting part is not the fact that we can necessarily see all these timers, and we don't care about the timers. That's not the important detail here. The important detail here is the protocol through which we can create. Do you know who I am? Do you know what this device is right here? No. But do you know that if I record another video in some amount of time and the lapse and everything, look, even the lapse, like if you have some kind of lapse, you have timestamps, you have milestones in the past, pinning you to the past. Now, I haven't even shown you in this video. I have 87 laps you haven't seen. If I go really quick, you might be able to have seen some of them. But those are all hidden from view, and I could still produce them, which would be a very simple way. So, moral of the story, we're trying to think of ways, just like Bitcoin did, just like Satoshi Nakamoto did, of puzzles that are very simple to solve, but take energy to solve. And are super easy to verify that they're authentic. They're mathematical in a sense. They're algorithmic. So for example, if I said add up all my times right now, and then add up the total count of my laps, now I would have to have a higher resolution camera, or something like that, or my text would have to be bigger on my phones, which I wonder if I can do that real quick. Okay, maybe that'll help. Hold on one second. Making clock as big as it can be. Clock is already as big as it can be on this phone. No, I don't want that. I gotta turn off AirDrop. That's so annoying. I think I just blew that up, which is annoying. Okay, now it's a little bit better. You can tell it's a little buggy. The clock app was not developed to the clock app was not developed to display times this large. Another interesting thing we can do though is change this UI a little bit. Look at this. So now we have an angle associated with our current time. And we still display a couple of laps. Now, what I want you to focus on and what I want you to pay attention to is that, by the way, at this point, I think I'm talking to a large language model. I'm going to send periodic transcripts via screenshots to this large language model and brainstorm with it until I find people. No. I'm going to turn off that AirDrop shit. That's so annoying. I guess I'll put this in between because this doesn't have it. Or does it? So anyway, we have this angle. And the angle is always going to be consistent with the laps. So that's a little boring. But we can also just hit a lap here and change the angle. So we have this dynamism of input variables to this pure function of determining all the different aspects of this identity. Also, we have the screenshot. We have the transcript of the screenshot of what was going on. Which, if you think about it, also identifies the point in space-time. I'm right here. Here I am in this place, which you don't know where it is. At this time, allegedly, I could just change my clock. It's not very hard. But here I am. I'm right here. So imagine this software, this protocol was running transparently on your device. And could do all those things without, you don't know my name, you don't really know my location. You could probably ascertain it if I told you if it was daytime or nighttime. But you just don't know any of that information. But again, the important part is I'm anonymous. You can't derive my identity from this, but you know these devices I own, which are somewhat hard to procure. I need to have expended money for them. So let's see, the iPad's $1,200, 3 iPhones, and I'm holding, what am I recording on? Oh yeah. So the thing I'm recording on, there's 4:34, so what time is it really? The thing I'm recording on also has a stopwatch. Whoa. What? So, yeah, that's a bit of a doozy as well. So going back to the camera, I'm recording on a Samsung S22 Ultra, I think. Yeah, so what was I saying? The cost of these things, $1,200, 3 iPhones, $2,500, $3,700, and then this thing was probably $800 or $1,000, $4,500 for all these timers. Well, just to own the devices. And then so I have to say, okay, well, how much does a timer cost? How about half the cost or a tenth of the cost of the device it's running on? Well, then you have to think of, well, how do you price a device? Like when it was new? Yes, when it was new. That's my initial thought. And how do you figure that out? Well, you have to identify the device. That's probably a little bit difficult. That's easy to, you can fake that. But then you just don't allow devices that have the ability to fake that. And so that's called on iOS jailbreaking and on Android rooting. And you prevent that from happening. Now, someone could always change their clock. I don't really care about that. If they buy a timer ticket, I will have that event because their money arrived in some account at some point in time, and that's when they bought it. I don't care what time they say it is. I care what time I say it is. So you want to take control of time in your systems is the software takeaway here. And then we'll go ahead and do another lap here to make this 15 degrees. Oops, that's 60 degrees, I think. I don't know, whatever. But I guess you could also look at, like, would that angle, if you projected the orange line with the other orange line, would that always be unique? Who knows? Anyway, the point is all these different ways to identify this piece of space-time would be all these different devices. Timers, we could create universal resource identifiers for space-time. Now, how would you... I think because we have so many different ways to encrypt the location, I think I would be comfortable sharing my encrypted location. But then you'd be able to go backwards and look at like where I was, so I don't think I'd want that. But you could say maybe after 5 years, maybe allow these to be published. You could think of something like that for a sort of digital archaeology kind of structure, so that if someone wanted to go and say, what was going on here at this time, they could just do that. So kind of like Google Maps, but if you could look at a video of what was going on in that area at that given point in time. I've said a lot here. There's also, I have this acronym called Miracle. Media something something. It's basically like deriving the video URL from the content of a piece of the video. I think that's a pretty cool idea. So, for example, in this recording here, you could take some of the text from the transcript right now, for example, and you could just search the database for that text, and it would tell you, well, that text was produced at this point in time. And that's pretty cool, too. That's a very useful thing. If we could see who said what when, it would be easier to track what they're calling fake news. The problem, though, is that everything's fake news, and they've got the idiots arguing with the other idiots that only the other side is watching fake news. And it is the most invigorating process to watch, and quite embarrassing as an American to see how susceptible we are to absolute bullshit. Because this is a great country, but we're in a bad place, and I think it can get better. And I think this country gets better through innovation and creation and creativity and peaceful progress to unite everyone under a common flag and quit fighting. I think the fighting is mostly caused by mass manipulation and mass hypnosis and mass brainwash. And I'm afraid of talking about these ideas, to be completely honest, because once people start talking about these ideas and come up with solutions for them, they tend to die fairly quickly. Or just something goes wrong with them. And so I think there's a couple reasons that it's important for anonymity to exist and to be able to state your piece, while also being able to, again, that's why I want to tie the identity back to all the devices you own and create financial incentives for a harmonic balance in the system, so that you don't have people coming on here and just spewing absolute garbage. I'm no longer interested in garbage or hate. That's And it's hard to find people that are creative and interesting and want to push the boundaries, and want to have engaging discussions that aren't a bit odd. And unfortunately, if you find people that are a bit odd, it's just a little worrisome. What are they up to? And so you have to come up with a set of rules that you all agree on that are reasonable rules. And I think that's what the founding fathers did to a certain extent. And I think it's about time we have a new digital founding fathers. That's just what I think. And in order to get a seat at the table, so to speak, I mean, show your stripes, baby. Look at this, 1,693 hours. What is this even? 4,659 hours. What is this one? 8,596 hours. And then I want to show you voice memos here. There we go. Look at this. It's on my phone. And I'll start recording now. And then my voice is there. And my voice is always here. Okay. And then back to this. Now we've got more timers going. Not only do we have that voice note going there, but we still have the stopwatch going. So we'll put the stopwatch back on. Okay. So my whole reason for recording this is to continue to brainstorm about an idea I have that all of these timers, if we set up the proper software to unite them and link them up and make it so that you are reporting your time elapsed in a cryptographically secure way, and the keys that you're using to cryptographically secure those reports are derived from the timers themselves, then we have this kind of unite them and link them up and make it so that you are reporting your time elapsed in a cryptographically secure way, and the keys that you're using to cryptographically secure those reports are derived from the timers themselves. And we have this kind of recursive proof that you're the only one that could turns out own all of these timers. And I've got some other videos in this playlist of what do I call it? Recursive proof that you were the only one that could turns out own all of these timers. And I've got some other videos in this playlist of what do I call it? Let's see. Playlist. And so right now I'm not really worried about whether or not you can identify me, because this is just a demo and proof of concept. But here's the playlist I was talking about here. Going back to the camera here. Yeah, so all these timers. So I took a screenshot right at this point in the recording. Here's a playlist I was talking about here. And so now we have developed a marketplace and a network, and we have a needle in a haystack problem. Which, does that sound familiar? That's the Bitcoin network. Bitcoin produces needle in a haystack problem, mathematically and algorithmically, just crunching numbers. And you say you found the needle, and you get rewarded with some Bitcoin. And everyone's like, yep, that's the needle. That threads through the puzzle. Good for you. Let's move on. I want to find the next one. Boom, go. So we have a minting function. And so what I'm trying to do is develop an abstraction of the absolute genius and ingenuity of what Satoshi Nakamoto created, with tying this digital work to the real world through proof of work. And so all I want to do is say, okay, well, I don't want to use digital energy. I want to use organic energy through humans. and I want to use attention as the energy source. And so if you can find that screenshot, which is on this device that I'm recording on right here, or wait, no, it's not. But I can find it. So here you go. Let's see. And there you go. So there it is. And here it is. And there it is. Digital, verifiable, anonymous proof of identity and device ownership. Lost my place here. Where's my camera? There it is. Okay, so going back to the timer here. Oh, and you can also replace audio, which gets really interesting. But let's not mutate the past, or let's not add to the past. And so here's what we're gonna do. We're sitting at lap 2, 3, 2, 100. Here's what we're gonna do. Oh, and let's do the hardest one first. So the Apple Watch was sitting at what lap? Lap 4, and it changed throughout, but we're gonna change it to lap 5. Is that milliseconds? I can't tell. Yeah, it's got to be milliseconds. Okay, so I incremented that a couple times. So I think anytime you increment a lap on one device, I think you should have to increment the same amount of times on the other devices, if not more. I think that was 3, so I'm just gonna go 2 though. 1, 2. So you want that on camera, ideally 2. Then 2. And last but not least, 1, 2. Okay, so now we have a fresh start for next time. We're going to be on 454, 102, otters irrelevant, and lap 7, it looks like. Yeah, 7. So I hope I've done a sufficient job in completely explaining the theory behind this idea and why I think it's important and valuable, how it will work concretely, and provided a little bit of interesting food for thought as well. So yeah, what I'm probably going to end up doing is feed this to a large language model and feed the screenshots and have it extract out the text of the screenshots and then put things in order or keep things in order and extract the text from each frame that we record. And again, look the angle changed, and have the large language model kind of summarize and maybe write a blog post about this for me. So I'm going to build a little tool to help me figure out how to use a large language model, pay for the API, and start really taking advantage of these large language models with innovative assistance in creating things. So that's my time, folks. It's been great. I hope you enjoyed. An hour is a long time to stand up here. But I would love to do that. I would love to find other people that are interested in talking about these absolutely nutty ideas. I truly feel like there's some interesting food for thought here, if nothing else, about trust, identity, digital sovereignty, societal sovereignty, governance. Lots of different things that the Web3 movement initially promised to do and just turned into a bunch of people selling pictures to each other, which is pretty disappointing. But, be the change you want to see in the world. is what I've always known. Just I've finally started acting like it. So my camera's kicking me off stage. I need to take a nap. Again, it is 5:50, but is it 5:50 in the morning? Who knows? Who knows? Is it 5:50 in the afternoon? Do I need an afternoon nap? Who am I? Also, if Satoshi Nakamoto would put together a puzzle and say that if you answered with your private key, if you signed a message with your private key that identified 12 different correct aspects about me, you could receive like half of what's in the identify me bucket. And so again, you create a financial incentive for if somebody knows who you are, they're going to say. But you're going to also keep it to yourself. Because if you get it right, you have to pay some amount of money to submit a guess. And if you get it right, you're entitled to dividends from that pool that decrease. I don't know. Again, there's got to be some kind of harmonics involved in making sure everything's balanced. But you don't want to be identified. So you could also probably produce that same kind of functionality for any individual actor on the system of saying, well, I see this person with these, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 devices registered to the network. I know who they are. And here's a bunch of information about them that I can verify. You want to make that person know that somebody knows who they are. That's the point of privacy. If you think you're private but you're not private, you're in the situation that we were with all the big tech companies, where you thought, oh yeah, no, nobody's recording everything we do, and then it leaks that they're recording everything we do, and people are like, no, that's not possible, and then now it's a joke on TikTok. So I'm not gonna be conspiratorially minded, but if I wanted to spy on everybody, I would certainly turn the fact that I'm spying on everybody into a joke on TikTok. Seems like a pretty decent idea for people that will fall for it. And again, we've got stuff recording us all the time. This phone I'm holding right now is probably recording everything I do, even though it's sitting in my office. iPhone, Apple, I trust a little bit more. Whether that's right, the correct move or not is to be seen. It's hard to know what goes on behind the scenes of when push comes to shove. But, for violent terrorists, I think they will reveal information fairly straightforwardly. I don't really know that. I don't really pay too much attention. So Google, on the other hand, is just a mess. So definitely bearish on Google. Let's see. Anything else to cover here? Privacy. You should know if somebody knows who you are. And I think the only way to do that is to financially incentivize people to reveal who they know, who they are. Or it's one way. I think it might be the most effective way. Who knows? So here's on my laps. Again, that's my time. You can find me at wherever you can find me. I guess if you search for any combination of two numbers that appeared on the screen that were moving. So yeah, last thing I want to say here is if you search for any two numbers that were moving here on the screen at the same time, so like if you say 87, 11, 17, and 16, 48, 31, which would be, I'd have to take a screenshot of this to even see.